Hello and welcome to the latest and greatest edition of Better Together Arizona. I'm your host, Angela Hughey, the co-founder and president of One Community. So happy to have Tom Collins with me from Arizona Clean Elections. How are you, Tom Collins?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am good.
For me personally, it's important to vote because my ancestors fought for the right to do so. It's important to vote because it's a way to stand up for something and stand up for what you believe in. Register and learn more at yourvoteisyourvoice.com.
I'm excited to talk to you about Proposition 136.
Yeah.
This is challenging initiatives constitutionality.
Yes.
And this would be a change to the state constitution.
Yes.
Tell us about what this proposition wants to do, proposes to do.
Sure. So in Arizona right now, when voters put together an initiative and they go out and gather petition signatures and what have you, there are, as we see, legal challenges, right, to that process. And those legal challenges principally focus on the sufficiency of the petitions in terms of whether or not the language is proper, whether or not the signatures themselves are gathered by the proper circulators, and whether or not the signatures match, those kinds of things, which are really considered, those are the procedures of getting something on the ballot.
Okay.
What courts in Arizona have said for years is we won't tell you whether or not a measure is unconstitutional or not before it passes. They say we're not going to get in the middle of telling you, the public, whether or not we think this measure is good or bad under the U.S. Constitution or the state constitution until after the fact. So, and that's the same as for legislation, right? If the state legislature is proposing something, people will show up there and speak to the legislature and say, we think this is unconstitutional. The courts, you can't sue the state until after the law is
Until it
enacted.
actually becomes law.
Right. So the state courts in Arizona have treated those two processes the same, right? So initiatives like legislation pending in the legislature, they're not subject to be challenged by folks for constitutionality
Until it's a law.
Until it's a law.
Got it.
This would change that, and this would say that instead, when it's an initiative, folks can challenge it ahead of time. Folks can challenge it during the same period of time, essentially, that they're challenging the procedural aspects of the initiative.
Why would folks want to challenge it prior to an initiative going on the ballot?
Right. So the proponents of this measure say that, look, if you're going to put the voters and everyone through this process and get this thing passed and cause all these expenses, you ought to have to, there's no reason to do that if we know the thing is going to be unconstitutional anyways. So, and it's unfair to voters to have them have to go through this whole process and vote on it if it's only going to get turned out to get struck down. From their point of view, not doing this ahead of time creates a needless expense of an election that doesn't need to happen anyways if the measure is going to end up being unconstitutional anyways.
What do folks that are against this say?
The folks who are against this say we should continue to treat the legislative action and the people voting on laws
In the same way.
In the same way. They also say, look, it is expensive enough already for Arizonans to put measures on the ballot. The litigation cost, the petition signature cost is millions of dollars for a statewide initiative, and the litigation cost is very expensive, and is pretty tough. I mean, the procedure, the process of challenging signatures, and those kinds of things are very expensive proceedings. There's some rigorous standards, and they have to happen real fast. And in law,
and then if you add this constitutionality piece to it as well, it seems like, from being against this proposition, like we're trying to bog down the opportunity to put initiatives on the ballot.
Right, and that's exactly what opponents of this measure say.
Got it. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, that is Tom Collins in our overview for Proposition 136, Challenging Initiatives Constitutionality. To learn more about this initiative and all of the initiatives that are on the ballot, we encourage you to visit yourvoteisyourvoice.com. And we want to remind everyone it's a really, really long ballot this year, 4 full pages. Start at the bottom, work your way up. And if you have any questions, visit our website. Again, that's yourvoteisyourvoice.com. Thank you, Tom Collins.
Thank you very much.
Our vision for creating the Royale was to create a space for the LGBTQ+ community and allied community. It's important to vote so that everybody has a seat at the table. Visit yourvoteisyourvoice.com and make sure that you're registered to vote today.